So we are exactly 2 months away from the release of Pokemon Legends ZA, as the game is going to be releasing on October 16th, and I should be uploading this video on August 16th. And today I just wanted to talk about the combat system and actual battle system of Pokemon Legends ZA, because this game is truly doing something insane, which is really changing it so drastically, which we've never really seen before in a main series Pokemon game. And it's honestly worth kind of just talking about all of that inside of one video itself. So in this video I'm going to be giving like a real deep dive into the different aspects of the battle system of Pokemon Legends ZA, and hopefully this should make it so that a lot of people can really realize like, oh wow, they actually really changed a lot of things, and this is not what typical Pokemon battles used to be like. So for almost 30 years, as next year is going to be the 30-year anniversary for Pokemon, the games have always followed a turn-based combat system for how it handles its battles, where you basically attack and then wait for your opponent to attack, and then you attack again, and you just take turns in deciding your moves. And up until Pokemon Legends ZA, this was never really changed all that much. They've added gimmicks to it like Mega Evolution and Z moves and stuff, but it was still the same thing where you would just take a turn to Mega Evolve and then attack or use Dynamax or something like that. And really at most, the only other kind of like actual change that we kind of got was with Pokemon Legends Arceus, where in that game you had like the agile style moves and the strong style moves, and depending on how you use them, sometimes you would make it so that maybe you could attack like 2 turns in a row before your opponent gets to attack again, but it was still using a turn-based system. Like you would still get 2 turns before they would get their turn, and it still remained a turn-based system until Pokemon Legends ZA. So Legends ZA is actually going to be using a real-time combat system where your Pokemon and your opponent's Pokemon are both going to be attacking and defending at the same time, and so there isn't going to be any turns where like you go and then they go. You're just going to be having all of the chaos happening all at once inside of the battlefield itself. And so this is actually very similar to a lot of other RPG games, where something like Final Fantasy, in that game you're playing as a character and then the opponent is attacking you at the same time, and you have to like dodge around their attacks and attack like that. That is essentially what's going to be happening now in Pokemon Legends ZA, and it's really kind of crazy. And it's really when you start breaking down a lot of the elements of this battle system that you're going to realize like, oh wow, they actually changed a lot about how Pokemon battles work in this game. And the first thing that we got to talk about is accuracy. So in every Pokemon game before Pokemon Legends ZA, every attack that your Pokemon could use had its own accuracy stat for how likely it was to hit your opponent, and then you had to choose between if you wanted to pick an attack that had more damage but a little bit less accuracy, or if you wanted to pick an attack that had more accuracy but a little bit less power. A good example of this is with Thunder and Thunderbolt, as both of these are 2 really powerful electric attacks, but Thunder has an insane amount of damage with 110 power, but only 70% accuracy for how likely it is to hit, whereas Thunderbolt on the other hand has a little bit less power with 90, but it has 100% accuracy, meaning it's always going to hit. And so then you would choose if you wanted an attack like Thunder with ultimate damage, but you would have a decent 30% chance of missing, and maybe that could happen during crucial moments where you really need it to hit, or if you wanted something like Thunderbolt, which is going to be much more reliable as it's always going to be hitting, but it's not going to be doing as much damage. Now the reason I'm talking about all of this is because in a real-time combat system like Pokemon Legends ZA, accuracy isn't really going to be playing a role, because you're not going to be using your attack and then waiting for them to attack like in a turn-based system, and instead the accuracy actually comes from how good you are at controlling and moving your Pokemon and dishing out your attacks. If we look at the move details here for an attack in Legends ZA, you can see right here that it just shows you how much power the attack is going to have, and then something called cooldown time, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but it doesn't mention anything about accuracy, as the accuracy is now going to come from how good you are at using this attack at the right time. And if you get really good at this battle system and know exactly how the animation starts up and when it comes out and everything, you might actually get really good at landing all of these attacks and just having really good accuracy that way, instead of just kind of spamming your attacks and using them whenever. If you get really good at kind of knowing how to use them right, then you're actually going to have really good accuracy, and maybe you're even going to be able to land some of these really powerful attacks that don't really have really good accuracy in the past, like Thunder and Fire Blast. And so because you're going to be controlling where your trainer is and your Pokemon is going to be following you, you're also going to have to be careful now at using your attacks at the right time and aiming them properly so that you can actually land attacks and hits. And I think that that's going to be such a cool element to this battle system, as it's now going to be very similar to a lot of other RPG games where you use your abilities, and if your opponent is not in range, then you just miss it because you used it at the wrong time. So you actually have to think about exactly what's the right time to use it. Now, before Pokemon Legends ZA, another thing that every single Pokemon game had for all of the attacks in it was something known as PP, or power points, and this was basically how many times you were able to use that attack in the turn-based combat system. And this was kind of just done for balancing so that you couldn't use like really powerful moves over and over. So an attack like Fire Blast you could only use 5 times, but an attack like Ember could be used 25 times because it's less powerful, and so it was kind of done like that for balancing. But now you can notice that inside of Pokemon Legends ZA, there isn't going to be any PP either because that entire system has been removed, and now you're actually going to be using something known as cooldown time. So in this game, because you're going to be doing real-time battles and it's not going to be turn-based, as a result, you're actually going to be able to use all of your attacks over and over, as there isn't going to be PP, but the only catch is that there's going to be a cooldown timer from when you use one attack to when you can use it again. And if you look at the gameplay footage, I'm sure you can see that once you use an attack, there's like a little gauge that starts filling over the icon for the move, where it basically shows you the cooldown for how long it's going to be until you can use that attack again. And I'm sure the game is going to be balanced in a way where more powerful attacks are going to take longer to cool down, and then attacks that maybe don't do as much damage are going to be refilling much quicker. So for example, a move like Ember, maybe that's only going to take like 3 or 4 seconds until you can use it again, but a move like Fire Blast, maybe that's going to need like 10 or 12 seconds. So with that, you're going to have to choose now between if you just want really like long charging attacks for your moveset, or if you want like a mix between attacks that refill quickly and also attacks that take a little bit longer. And also, one of the coolest things about the battles inside of this game is because the attacks don't have any accuracy, and it's really going to come down to how you're moving your Pokemon on the battlefield for if they hit or not, you're actually going to be able to dodge incoming attacks from your opponent if you move out of the way at the right time. And this is something that's so cool because how many of you have seen the Pokemon anime growing up where you've seen like the trainers yelling out like dodge it or move out of the way, and you've always kind of thought to yourself like you can't do that in a normal Pokemon game. Like in the anime they're always dodging these really powerful attacks and not having them hit, but inside of the main series Pokemon games it's always been if they use Flamethrower you're always going to be getting hit. And in this game, for the first time ever, it's actually going to be like the anime where you can actually move out of the way and completely not take any damage if you just know right exactly when to dodge, and I think that that's going to be so cool. Now there's actually a playable demo for Pokemon Legends ZA that is accessible right now at the Pokemon World Championships, which are going on currently, and so there's actually a lot of gameplay footage and new information that is coming out from people that are playing the demo. And one of the things that we also kind of learned a little bit about is how exactly Mega Evolution might work inside of the battles for this game. Now the only example that I got to see for using Mega Evolutions in the demo was against a boss Pokemon or like a rogue Mega Pokemon, so I don't know if it's going to be different for how Mega Evolutions work against these compared to just normal trainers, or if it's going to be the same in both ways. But inside of the boss battle, while you were attacking the Pokemon, they were dropping like these little Mega Energy orbs on the battlefield and on the ground, and your trainer had to run over and collect them, and as you collected more, the little Mega meter in the bottom right would start filling up, and once you had it completely full, that's when you had enough energy to then use Mega Evolution yourself. And when your Pokemon Mega evolved, the little meter started going down, but if you collected more energy you could actually fill it up and start extending the duration, but that's essentially how Mega Evolution worked. And so once again, I don't know if this is only going to be for like the rogue Mega Pokemon or the boss battles where they're going to be dropping like this little Mega Orb energy and you're going to have to be collecting that to then be able to Mega Evolve yourself, or if it's also going to be like this against trainer battles. But the one thing that was really cool that we also learned from the demo is that if you do collect enough Mega Energy and then you're able to Mega Evolve and then your Mega Evolution completely runs out, you can actually collect all of the Mega Energy again and still be able to use Mega Evolution. So it is no longer restricted to only one Mega Evolution one time per battle. So this also means that theoretically if you have a team with a bunch of different Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, you can actually have multiple Mega Evolutions throughout the battle, which is something that you could never do with Mega Evolution inside of the traditional games. So that's something that's really cool. But yeah, from seeing all of this, maybe now you can start to kind of realize exactly how drastically different this Pokemon battle system is going to be inside of ZA compared to pretty much everything that we've had up until this point. And I'm just really excited for it because Pokemon Legends ZA's battle system is actually very similar to something that's in one of my favorite video game series, which is Xenoblade Chronicles. Now maybe you could already tell with the YouTube profile pic and banner, but Xenoblade Chronicles, the first Xenoblade game, is my favorite video game of all time. This is still the best game that I have ever played in my life, and it's always one of those games that I'm always recommending to people. If you're willing to give the game a fair shot, I feel like it could really leave a big impact on you as well. I've gotten over 500 people or so to play it, and pretty much all of them have always come back to me and said, Aero, this game is incredible, like thank you so much for getting me into this series or this game. It's just been so much fun. It's been so cool, and I've never played something like this. So yeah, I mean, if you ever want to give that game a shot, or if you ever need help with it, just send me a message or let me know even on Twitter if you ever play the game, because I'm always willing to talk to people about this game. But yeah, one of the coolest things about this game is that the battle system is actually taking a lot of inspiration with this, with Pokemon Legends ZA, is that the battles inside of this game also have a cooldown timer for when you're using your attack. So if you use an attack, you gotta wait a couple of seconds until that little bar kind of refills until you can use that attack again, which is something very similar to what Pokemon Legends ZA is doing. And it's even taking things from the other Xenoblade games as well, where in Xenoblade 2, for example, your attacks are mapped to the A, B, X, and Y buttons, and that is the same layout that's going to be for the attacks in Pokemon Legends ZA as well, where your top attack is going to be X, the right attack is going to be A, the bottom attack is going to be B, and the left attack is going to be Y. And then in Xenoblade 3, one of the cool things about the combat inside of this game is that you can turn into like this really cool mech form, and this is kind of like an ultimate ability that you can use for a little bit, and while you get into this form, there's like a little meter in the bottom corner that's kind of ticking down, and it's like a little bar that's going down to show you how long you have until you can use it, and that is literally the exact same thing that Mega Evolution is doing inside of Pokemon Legends ZA, so you can really see the inspiration from all the games. And actually the director behind Pokemon Legends ZA has even tweeted images about getting Xenoblade games when they come out and playing them, so you can definitely tell that he is a big Xenoblade fan. And so yeah, for me, Pokemon is my favorite video game series of all time, but Xenoblade is my second favorite, and so if you're going to be making a Pokemon game that's going to be combining elements from both of them into one, how can I not be super excited for this game? So I am very much looking forward to the battle system for Pokemon Legends ZA. I think it's going to be so much fun. Now, before I wrap up everything, I do want to talk about an aspect that I've seen a lot of people discussing about, and that is having this type of battle system moving forward with Pokemon and in future Pokemon games, as I've seen a lot of people saying like, this is incredible, Pokemon is evolving, the battle system looks so cool, it's actually fresh now, it's more fun, this is what Generation 10 should be like, this is what we need to have in main series Pokemon games moving forward. And alternatively, I've also seen people on the other side that are like, I don't like this. I'm not a big fan of having like this real-time battle system in Pokemon Legends ZA and having to stay on my toes for so many things now because I have to control the Pokemon and like where they're moving and having to aim my attacks so that I can actually hit them and having the attacks recharge and everything. Like, I really miss just having my traditional turn-based battle system where it was much more relaxing and I could just pick an attack and then they would attack, and it wasn't something that I had to be so much more worrisome about with all the different things that are going on. And I don't expect that this battle system from ZA is ever going to be one that's going to have PvP where you and like another person can actually battle against each other using this type of battle system where it's going to be like your moves recharging and having to avoid attacks and dodge out of the way and stuff. Maybe they could make it work, but I don't think that this will ever be kind of like the direction that they want competitive Pokemon to go to, because that's obviously now seeming to be handled in Pokemon Champions, as that's literally like an entire game made just for having like those heated competitive battles. So I think that because of that, people are saying that because now that all of that competitive stuff can happen in Champions, they should just have like this type of battle system now in Gen 10 and moving on with the Pokemon games moving forward. And personally, I would be really surprised if they had a battle system like Pokemon Legends ZA inside of Generation 10 next year or other Pokemon generations moving forward, because I personally don't think that it's going to happen. I think the Pokemon Company and Game Freak themselves are still aware of how much of a fan base that they have built from all of these people who have come to love these turn-based battles for so many years, and I don't think that they're just going to randomly throw all of that away now for having this new style of combat, because they haven't even gotten feedback yet. They haven't even seen like how how people are really enjoying this from Pokemon Legends ZA and stuff, and I feel like if a lot of people do love it from ZA, it can continue maybe with other future Legends games, but I don't think that they will ever replace like the actual mainline next generation types of games from having the traditional turn-based battle system to having something as drastic as this. And if anything, I think it's the best of both worlds, because if you're someone who thought that the traditional Pokemon battle system of having turn-based battles was getting really stale and kind of boring over the years, then now you've got these Legends games that actually have more of these traditional JRPG elements for the combat incorporated into them, so you can actually experience a different style of Pokemon battle where it's going to be kind of having more elements from something like Final Fantasy or Xenoblade, and I think that that's going to be so cool. And if you don't like that, you're still going to have your traditional Pokemon generations that are going to maintain having those turn-based battles that you've come to love for so many years. And I do think that this is the best decision, because now you can choose what type of Pokemon experience you want to have for the battles, and you can really kind of decide if you want to have the more traditional one or if you want to try something new with like these Legends games. And so yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well. I'm definitely gonna have some more videos talking about Pokemon, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Comment down below and let me know what you think about all of this. How do you feel now about this new battle system that's going to be inside of Pokemon Legends ZA? Are you excited for it? Are you a little bit hesitant by it? How do you feel about everything? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. But if you don't have anything to say about it, just comment your favorite emoji down below for some engagement. I would really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.